Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back here to my channel where I play Plants too. My name is Nissa and today we have a longer video for you, so I hope you have something nice to drink, maybe a little snack because we're gonna be here for a while. I know I have a weird sound on the mic today. I don't know why, I don't know what it is, so hopefully it gonna fix itself, but if you hear some weird sound in the background, I have no idea where it comes from. And I am a little late recording this. Normally I like to record a week ahead, and this goes up tomorrow because I had some mental issues this week, so I got a little bit behind, but I still want to get this out because I'm pretty proud of my build here, and yeah, we're gonna take the positive out of it and hopefully you're gonna like it too. But let's start with something that actually don't have anything to do with this specific build, but we are coming to an end for Future Life Asia. I really like the work I've been doing here, and I really think it's really cool how this all turned out, but I do still have the issue where it's lagging a lot, to be honest, and the video quality gets worse and worse, so I hope I can finish it off without ruin anything else, and then I'm gonna try my very best to just make a great finale. We are going to have 2 or 3 habitats more here on the last arch around here, the water area, and then we're gonna have a cleanup video, and then in 2 weeks, Saturdays, I haven't picked out the time of the day yet, but it will come up at a point. We're gonna make a live stream where I'm just gonna get through the zoo, go over the habitats we have built, talk a little bit about my experience making the build, and how much I feel like I have learned about all of these beautiful animals. So if you want to know when that video exactly are going live, you can always ring the bell to be notified, but either way it will be in 2 weeks Saturday. I'm not sure it's gonna be at the exact time I normally put up a video, but it will be that day. And I know a few of you actually this week have asked me to literally continue making the videos I do, and it means the world to me. As I mentioned earlier, I had a bit of issues this week with my mental health. I have a few stressful days, and it just means that a lot. I woke up the other morning and I just had, I think, 3 very positive comments on my videos, which means the world to me, and I always thought is as bullshit with creators on YouTube or other social media websites, or like, oh, it means the world to me. It was just like bullshit. You do this for the money, but honestly, I don't think I shock anyone. I have 48 subscribers at this point, and it's amazing, and I never thought I would get that many. I thought like 10 people wants to see this the most, so it means so much to me, but I've never thought that I wanted to make money of it, because it's for fun, and all of these are things I want to do either way. I do research a lot more when I do these videos, but as I mentioned earlier, I always love to learn more about animals and the world around me, literally. So it's just, yeah, it's just give me the possibility to do stuff I really like to do, but just on a bigger scale. And every time I can see I made something you like, I can see it on your numbers, I can see it on the subscriber numbers, and I can see it in your comments, and it just honestly means so much more than it actually would. So thank you so much for that, and thank you for being here, and thank you for just honestly giving me a reason to wake up in the mornings, because as I also mentioned earlier, unable to leave my home. So I'm just thankful for thankful for myself for actually pushing myself to making this channel, and thankful for you too, wanting to be a part of this, and also wanting to learn about the animals and how we can save them, and how much we actually hurt them. I know some of it are hard to hear, but it is facts, and I feel like they are very important details that a lot of us needed to learn. So thank you once again, thank you so much. And yeah, I'm gonna go into the build now, because yeah, I just had one of those weeks, and this have really been a way to take my mind off it, and this have really been meaning so much for me this week. Also other weeks, but especially when I have a harder week, I can just feel how much this changed my outlook on things, and give me the opportunity to really feel like I have a reason to be here and to wake up, and thank you so much for that. Anyway, about the build, actually what I build now are not exactly what you're going to see, because I went in afterwards to get some more space in front of the habitat to push this entire building 4 meters further away from the kitty cat house, and 4 meters away from the water area. So if you don't know, 4 meters is a grid size, so 1 grid size backwards each way to get some more space around here. I know it doesn't probably look much of an issue now, but when I add all of the water area, it takes up a lot of space. And elephants takes a lot of space, if you didn't know, even though it's already smaller Indian elephants. A big theme about this habitat is of course that we have the Indian rhino and Indian elephants in here, who is the heavy lifters of this zoo. It will probably be the heaviest animals we have here, and they can ruin a lot of stuff. So first of all, I went in and made the doors here slide doors, so when this elephant gets through, they won't rub themselves off of a door standing open or anything like that. They will not ruin it that way, because if you just have like a barn door or something like that open, then they would rub up of it a lot, and they would ruin it over time. So it's a way to protect the doors, and also why we choose to use so many stones down here. I do know that the pathing areas around here have the wood, but I like to just picture that it's fake wood, to be honest. And then we have the rocks around also, which the elephant and the rhinos can't really go through. The fence I use have this tree line around it, but I kind of pictured that it would be a harder material. It's just the best looking fence for this kind of stuff, so it would probably be stronger than just metal in a wood frame. And the fact that it's gonna be in the water area, I hope will help it out a little bit, since it will be completely submerged by water. Not completely, but a big chunk of it will. I'm gonna start making the restaurant area now, and I did think about making a very themed Indian restaurant, which would have been great, but facts are that I have no idea how that would look. I've been to Chinese restaurants, I've been to sushi restaurants, but I never actually think I've been to an Indian or anything like that restaurant. So I wouldn't be able to actually make something that would fit perfectly, and I didn't either just want to find a picture and go after that. I know a lot of YouTubers do that, and they are allowed to. It's totally up to them if they want to or not. It's just for me, my inspiration die if I try to make a copy paste of something else. Some people can be very inspired by seeing something concrete. For me, I have a hard time being inspired by things like that. I'm getting inspired by just having a thought and going with it. So instead, I chose to make this very recognizable building, which will fit both with the stone building of the kitty house and the wood around the underwater building, and kind of copy that instead. And if I may say so myself, I really like the result. Again, it's not an Indian restaurant as I wanted, but then again, I can't choose Indian food for my restaurant, so at least I'm one there. When talking about the habitat itself, the animals in it and such, I want to explain why I chose the Indian rhinos and elephants. It's because they are heavy lifters, and I wanted to make this a very barren, realistic kind of habitat. As you know, I pride myself of not making realistic habitats. I like to build plausible habitats, and this certainly is one of those. This habitat could happen in real life. It's kind of barren and kind of cheap to make. The expensive part here is the building, which you would have either way, because you would have the restaurant. So it's more to utilize a full building this way, to also use it for the elephant. As you can see, I also made place for some smaller animals in there also, but I always go for the interspecies enrichment and animals. But the fact is that the Indian rhino and the Indian elephant live some of the same places, and they are kind of similar in they're not similar in size, but they are both strong animals that can fight for themselves, they can protect themselves, and they have tough skin, so they can actually take a blow from the other if it should happen. Where some of the other animals that have interspecies enrichment, especially with the elephant, if an elephant accidentally steps on them, then it would be it for them. I know if it happens all the times, then they wouldn't have interspecies enrichment at all. But it's just one of the things I think about sometimes. So I just really wanted to give them this counterpart where the elephant is clearly bigger, but the rhino have the horn, but they both have this very thick skin and can't survive an altercation if necessary. Also keeping in mind that we do like to release animals into the wild here for Future Life Asia. That's the project, that's why we are here. And then again, by doing that, we need animals that actually are able to run around and know not to pick a fight with other animals. As I have heard stories from Danish zoos, and I'm pretty sure other zoos also have issues with their baby elephants and baby rhinos, where they are quite troublesome because they want to pick a fight with everyone. And if they do that in real life where no one can go in between, then they will probably lose a fight. So this is a way where we can keep an eye on them and how they evolve as a baby to an adult, and make sure that they don't get too much hurt in the process. To talk about both animals today, I'm gonna use animalia.bio, and both links will be in the description. There will, however, not be as many links as we normally have, because I normally use a lot of mods, and we have 0 mods today, so it should be quite easy to find it down there. But let's start with the Indian elephant. I'm not gonna compare them since they are basically two very different animals. So we're gonna go with the Indian elephant first and the Indian rhino afterwards. And the only reason for that order of things, that's the alphabet. That's the only reason why I chose that order. So the population size of the Indian elephant is at this point 26 to 30,000 individuals, and they can live up to 70 years. I know that's one of the factors I always found very fascinating with elephants. I know we have other animals like the parrots, which normal humans can have actually, that get really old. I know it's a thing not many people think about when they get themselves one. But something that I don't think many people think about them is they are actually quite fast. They can run up to 43 kilometers per hour, which I know it's not a cheetah, but it's pretty fast, honestly. It's faster than a tractor is legally allowed to speed in Denmark anyway, so I see it as very fast, especially because when we think about elephant and what we learned growing up is that elephant is this old wise creature who never did anything in kids movies. They were just there, and then you could go and ask a wise old elephant for advice or something like that, but they wasn't really the one running around with all the action. But if you've seen baby elephants in real life, you know they run around and they are into action, and they are troublesome small baby elephants, and I love them for it. The Indian elephant, which I think is the normal Asian elephant we normally talk about, and it is the Asian elephant I have seen in zoos here in Denmark and heard about mostly. But the Asian elephant actually are a subspecies of elephant, and the Indian elephant is one of 3 subspecies of the Asian one. Their appearance is also a bit different than both other elephant but also other Indian elephant. They are quite smaller than the African elephant, but they also can be told apart from other Asian elephants by the fact that they are nomadic animals, meaning they move around most days. They rarely stay for the same place for more than 5 days, so this isn't a seasonal thing where they go to the south in the winter and go up north in the summer. Nothing like that. They just move around within a few days, mainly because they eat so much, so there's nothing left to eat after a few days. It is also quite easy to tell the females from the males apart from the Indian elephant ones by size. The females are smaller, but they also don't have tusk, which other elephant subspecies where it's both genders that have them. The Indian elephant, it's only the males that have them. But I think the female have is that she have a finger-like little thingy at the end of her trunk, so she actually can grab small things much better than the males or other elephants can. And since it is the Indian elephant, you would think that it was easy just to say it's from India, but they live in Bangladesh, Bhutan, Cambodia, China, of course India, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Vietnam. So it's actually not just a Indian elephant, but it is what they're named after, and I would think that had something to do where they originated or to do with where they first was classified as a subspecies. And they also live in a few different biomes. Keep in mind that this website specifies between climate zones and biomes, where Planet Zoo pulled them in together a little bit, but they live in the tropical and temperate climate zones, and the biome would be anthropogenic biome, forest, grassland and scrubland biomes. So these very different areas, to be honest. There's a big difference between a temperate anthropogenic biome or a tropical forest or a grassland or something like that. There's a big difference. Of course, they will need forests that are somehow open, since it isn't the smallest elephant out there, though I admit they are some of the smaller, but not the smallest. So they would need some kind of space. Of course, if the trees are too weak or too small, they will probably just blast right through them, to be honest. All elephants are highly social, and the Indian elephant is not different in this regard. They live in big matriarchal, sorry, I will try to pronounce that right, groups, which are known as memory herds or parades. So I think I'm gonna go with parades because I can. I like to. So they live in these all-female parades, which can be more than 20 individuals big, and it will always be the oldest female who is the matriarch. I think, though, I pronounced that right. These big parades can split up into small parades, but it will still be the main matriarch, the oldest female of them all, who decides most of the stuff. These small parades, which the matriarch doesn't go around in, will still keep in touch with the other groups using these high frequency noises that us humans can't hear. These split ups of groups or parades can have a few different reasons, one being just that they fall behind. Another will be food source. If you have a period of time where there isn't that much food, so to make sure everyone can get, they can split up, and when they are able to then meet up again later, they will mostly keep on the same track. So even though they are split up and fanned out, they will go in the same direction. Again, the main matriarch will decide all of this, and the other will follow along. These smaller parades can actually also hold male individuals. Keep in mind, elephants are all very matriarchal. Again, I know I didn't pronounce that right. And the males will fall off again and go out of the group when the parade bonds again with the main parades. So therefore, the main parades won't hold males at all, but temporary males are allowed to join these smaller parades. And I just want to correct myself. Earlier I said they communicate with a high frequency noise that we can't hear. That was not right. It's a low frequency that we can hear. We still can't hear it because it's too low for us. So it's the end goal is the same, that it's just, instead of too high for our ears to hear it, it's too low instead. Earlier, the Indian elephant did used to migrate like many other elephants do, but due to a lot of agricultural developments in India, they simply aren't able to do that anymore because they can't just go through everything, and the Indian farmers do a lot to keep the elephant out of their fields. They will of course still move around every single day in search for food, so food-wise this won't be an issue, but instead they sometimes have to move at night instead of in the day because it simply is too hot for a big elephant to move around in the summer sun. They do also have a few other ways to deal with the heat. One being simply to stay under shelter during the hottest parts of the day, and then they will flap their ears in different speeds depending on how much heat they want to get rid of. It's something we see with a lot of other animals, such as the human, for instance, which for years and years have been fanning ourselves in different ways. Back then we used to use these handheld fans. Nowadays we have these electrical ones, so we did actually also evolve, so we can be proud of that much anyway. The elephant are something that I never heard about before, but they are mega herbivores. Herbivores are these animals that live primarily off herbs or plants or foliage. I just like the word mega herbivores, and I gonna start calling myself a mega giga carnivore from now on off, because I really like the sound of that. But they do primarily live off grasses, different kind of grass types. Around India here we have, for instance, if you didn't know, we have the bamboo, which actually are grass, and we do also have the normal high grass we see in probably your own backyard, and we also have this different kind of grass which are the one you see on a savanna, and then we also have agricultural kinds of grass. This could be wheat and barley, for instance. They do, however, also supplement their diet, because this just simply isn't enough for such big an animal. So they also eat bark, roots, leaves, stems of trees, vine shrubs, as well as bananas, rice, sugarcane, and other cultivated crops. So once again, a big reason why the farmer don't want the elephants in their fields. When it comes to mating, they do it pretty much year round, though the female need to be in heat for this to happen. When the males smell her, which again disgusting but true, when they smell that she is in heat, they will start to fight over her, and this fight can actually end up in really dangerous wounds or even death sometimes. But what don't we do to make sure that we have the right baby daddy? The male would then join the parade for about 3 weeks, which would be one of these off-branded smaller groups, and then go around with the baby mama for about 3 weeks. And after this, he probably did what he could and should, so she is off to do the rest on her own. And this will further a 22-month long pregnancy. Take that, every single pregnant female who thinks they have it bad. It can take a long time for an elephant to get a fucking elephant out of their body, so therefore they aren't actually able to protect themselves for quite some time. So the rest of the parade will here choose to actually band around her to protect her during this birth. And hopefully after this birth, she will provide the herd with a single calf. Sorry, it just seems so much work for a single baby, but it's what they get. We already talked a bit about the threat of the Indian elephant, but basically they have these big issues where they normally have this giant range where they migrate from summer to winter, which they can't do anymore because of new roads, agricultural purposes, and so on. A story we have heard time and time again. This doesn't only prevent them from actually moving around, but also to find their food, since they are needing to move a lot to find new food, new places all the time, because they eat a lot and it's not their fault. Don't blame the fatties. But this can also fragment the not only the species apart, but the single herd, because when the herd or the pride split up into these smaller groups, in the meantime, before they meet up together, you could actually have blocked up the road and blocked off a part of the parade from the rest of the parade, meaning they no longer have a matriarch and no longer have a leader and no longer have a sense of where to go, besides trying somehow to get back to where they belong. This has resulted in Indian elephant groups becoming smaller and smaller, and at this point they are currently listed as endangered on the IUCN Red List. This is really something that needs to change before all of the elephants basically just die out, because it is the danger we view with a lot of animals. I will try to skip fast to the rhinos now because I'm a little bit I've been talking for too long. So we're gonna go into the Indian rhino now. The Indian rhino is the biggest of the 3 Asian rhinos and actually share the spot with the white African rhino for the spot of the biggest rhinos overall. So Indian's elephant might be small, but their rhinos really aren't. Indian's rhinos are actually very easy to identify since they have this armor-like look to them. They have this only single horn, but it is, according to this text, black, even though looking at it, it doesn't look black, but the text says black. They have this gray-brown hide and skin folds which make this armor appearance, and actually are one of the way too few successful conservational stories, so I'm looking forward to telling it. In 1975, there were only 600 individuals left in the world, but through countless effort and volunteer organizational help, the Indian rhinos numbers increased to 3,500 in Nepal and India by the middle of 2015. So the numbers are even bigger, hopefully now. And by that, they actually are the Asian rhino with the biggest numbers, which both are sad and happy. But for the Indian rhino, it is really a good story. Indian rhinos live in India and Nepal, as just mentioned, but they only live in one climate zone, which is the tropical, which they share with the Indian elephant. And they also share some biomes which make them fit in here nicely. We have the forest, which is the same anthropogenic biome, and I think we also had the swarm before. Besides that, they also have some other biomes such as freshwater, bog, marsh, wetlands, agricultural, and riparian biomes. So they actually can survive quite a few places, so it is hard to think of their numbers being so low. Indian rhinos are very solitary creatures, especially the males, who have territories which they don't really defend that well, and they will sometimes overlap. This can come to really intense fights, and with their kind of sharp horns, they can really do damage to each other. So if you ask me, with the Indian rhinos, the females are somehow more, what you call them, clever or something like that. I can't find the right word, so we kind of say the females are way clever. They do also mostly live solitary lives, but they aren't territorial at all. Actually, females which have young babies around can actually meet up in groups with other females in the same situation, so they can go around, eat together, and let the small ones play together. So yeah, I'm gonna stand by my point. The females are more clever. The Indian rhinos, much like the elephant, eat all these different kind of grass, and also leaves, fruit, branches, and aquatic plants, which I actually don't think the elephant ate. And then, of course, cultivated crops. I will say this site also says that they drink daily and often on mineral lakes. So the only thing I think about with that is kind of the salt stone you can give a horse, but they would have to find it in nature. So I'm a bit confused, but hopefully you are cleverer than me, so you understand that better. Little is known about the mating system of the Indian rhino, and most of the information here is guesswork, so I'm gonna go with what we know. The pregnancy lasts for about 480 days and they mate year round. The female will only get a single calf and it will be independent after 3 years. I'm just gonna take a moment here to go back to the build. It was important for me to all the foliage in here to be something that the elephant and rhinos wouldn't destroy. So I only went in with a few palms, and then I thought that you would have some kind of buckets or something like that down here, where you will go in daily and refill it with new straw of grass or bamboo as we use here. Since we have so much bamboo all around the zoo, I thought that we could feed it this way to the rhinos and elephants, and it would look pretty for the guests at the same time. It's just something I was real proud of thinking of. So going back to the Indian rhino now. And we're gonna actually go back to the start with the Indian rhino, because as I said, there were only 600 left of them at the point of 1975, I think it was. And during the 20th century, both Europeans and Asians hunted the rhinos just for sport. They were also killed for tea plantation, and the farmers killed them to keep them out of their fields. The Indian rhino also have the normal issues with loss of habitat and so on, but till this day the biggest issue for the Indian rhinos are poaching, since the horn of the Indian rhino actually still is a common trophy wished by the middle class of Asia. They are at this point only listed as vulnerable, and if the numbers keep going up, we will see them move to near threatened, least concern afterwards. Which are something I really hope for, but we will see with time. Anyway, we are far into the cinematics, so enjoy, and I will be back afterwards. Okay guys, it seems like we are here and I really hope you enjoyed it. As I said earlier, I moved everything 4 meters away from the keys, which we have here on the left, and 4 meters away from the water area, which we have here on the right. So I just pushed it backwards to have more space up here, and I think it was a really good choice. Yeah, and as I said, in a few weeks, I think exactly 2 weeks from today, hopefully Saturday, I'm gonna make a live stream where we're just gonna go through the zoo, visit all of the habitat, and make a final showcase of it. And of course it will be up afterwards if you want to see it, and you can't when we go live, so it's hopefully gonna fit in there. So yeah, you know the drill guys, like, subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you know the next time I upload a video. I really hope to see you again either in the comments below or in the next video. Bye guys!